Hello friends, my name is Alex Karekis, and I want to welcome you to the Finding Lost Civilization series. Now this series is dedicated to visiting ancient sites that time has long forgotten. Our journey today will take us into the California Sierra Nevada mountains, and specifically to a place called Salt Springs, which is located adjacent to the Mokelumne River. Now the fascinating thing about this site is that it contains over 350 evaporation basins which were hand-carved into this monolithic granite outcrop by the ancient Miwok Indians. Now the purpose of these basins was to produce salt. I tell you, today's journey is going to be fascinating, and I invite you to come trek with me. Well, friends, this is the Mokelumne River right here in front of us. So we're in the California Sierra Nevada mountains on the west slope. This area right over here looks very nice. You see those large boulders over here? And if you look at the land right over here, it's quite flat over here. So this is probably a good site where a native village could possibly be. Very flat surface, easy to live on, and close to water and the resources that water has to offer. So oftentimes we'll find these large boulder outcrops such as we have right over here that'll contain mortars, okay? So that's what we're looking for. Again, this is the flat area, a good place for a campground. Here's a large granite boulder outcrop. Okay, I see it right there in front of us. Look at this here, my friends. Right over here, look at this. This is signs of ancient life. This is a food processing station. There you have two mortars. Okay, another small one right over there. And right over here, there's a depression over here. Now there's a lot of, I guess, what we'll call duff. In other words, foliage on this boulder area. There's no doubt in my mind that there's many more here. It's just a matter of clearing all this pine needle and leaves up off the ground. We're not going to do this right now, but we're going to continue on to see if we can find any other signs of ancient life along the Mokelumne River right over there to our right. Well, directly to our front is the Mokelumne River, and right here again is another huge granite outcrop of boulders. A good spot to have mortars. So, oh my goodness, look, right over here directly to our front, you can see, oh my goodness, let's count them. So I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mortars. And this right here, the small one, is the anvil. So we're counting 1. Okay, there's another one there, 2, 3, and possibly 4. We call them the anvil because this is where the pine nut or the acorn was broken open, the hard shell, right there initially, and then ground down in these mortar holes. So one of the things I'm going to do is see how deep it is. Okay, so this is the bottom right here. Let me run my hand down here. So it's a good 6 to 8 inches deep. Let's see about this one over here. This one here is not as deep. This one's about 4 inches deep. So anyways, we have our signs of ancient life over here. So this site over here was possibly a seasonal camp. It would be too cold here in the winter. So this is probably a summer food processing collection area for the natives that lived here. Now the primary American Indian tribe that lived here was the Sierra Miwok people. Well, friends, let me show you something very important that we found here near the mortar site. Right over here, we have some obsidian. So this is a second verification that life existed over here. Obsidian was highly prized, used to make arrowheads, knives, and many other type of things that the Native Americans used for their everyday living. A very important piece right here. Well, friends, let me show you additional signs of life. Look at this over here. You can see the beautiful Sierras, and right over here is this humongous large granite outcrop by this stream, this river. But look at this right over here. We can see some mortars. Okay, there's one right there, there, and there. Let me show you something here. You see this? This is a mortar here, and this is the anvil. Okay, so this is a fairly typical configuration where you're looking at something near a stream and you're trying to figure out whether it's naturally formed or by the natives. Again, there's a mortar right here. Here's the anvil. Again, fairly typical right here. Right here is another one. Okay, a series of two mortars, one here and one here. This area, although it doesn't show an anvil, it's a platform right over here. It had the same utility. So this is really wonderful to find additional signs of life. Well, friends, we're here at the Salt Creek Reservoir, and our destination is about 5.2 miles directly at the end of the reservoir. And there's a trail that follows the lip of the reservoir right along here. Again, 5.2 miles. That's our destination to the ancient salt basins. Directly ahead of us is the east end of Salt Spring Reservoir, right over here. And you can see the California drought has left part of this reservoir, at least this end, very dry, very dry. Well, friends, we're here at the east end of Salt Springs Reservoir. This is the location we want to be at, right over here. You can see that there's an old campsite over here. So people have camped out. This is a wilderness area. And directly in front of us, that large granite outcrop contains salt works, ancient salt works. This is where the Miwok and Washoe Indians were able to collect salt at this area. I'll tell you, this is really exciting. Let's take a walk over there and see what we can see. Well, immediately as I started to go forth, look what I saw right here. Here's a native mortar. So this site over here is a place where they probably camped. It seems like a very natural, small little alcove, elevated alcove. Directly in front of us is where the river ran or still runs. And to our front, there's the reservoir. So anyways, our destination is right here to the right. Let's go further and explore. Well, we're on this journey together. I've never been up here. And I know I've said this before, but you are about to see the same thing that I am at the same time. And this is quite exciting. Somewhat steep here. You can see over here the incline. So anyways, let's keep going forward. And I tell you, I'm really excited. Of course, right now all we're looking at is granite, but we're going to see something very special. Okay, so here's another view. I'll tell you, it's beautiful. Look at the Sierras up there. And of course, right there directly to our front is where they built the dam 5 miles downstream. So let's continue. Okay, don't see anything yet. All right. Okay, they're supposed to be up here. So let's go further. Let's go that way over there. And I think I see something over there. Let's work our way there. Well, here's another view of the river and reservoir. You can see it's quite dry. But look at this over here. Look at the discoloration. This could be saline water. Okay. And this is one of the reasons why these ponds were built here, or I should say these salt collection basins. And what happened is this brine water, this salt water, would seep down into basins that the natives created in these granite outcrops. So let's continue. Let me see if I can find them. Well, we've worked our way up to the first level of this large granite outcrop. And right to our right, you can see another flat area right up there. I believe this is where they might be. So that's where we're going to climb to, right up there. As I said, we're on this trek together. So I'm going to let the camera roll all the way to the top. Look at this over here. Almost looks white and salty. Maybe this is part of the reason why these salt basins were here. Yes, look at this. Okay. It's very crystalline in nature. Let me run my hand over it. Let me taste it. Oh yeah, salt. So this is salt, okay? All right. Look at this. So we're, oh my goodness, here they are. We're coming right up to the lip, and there you go. These are salt basins created by the natives. I'll tell you, this is really fantastic. Look how large they are. There's supposed to be 300 of these up here. Oh my goodness. Look at this. You can see the salt right here. There are about 325 salt basins located in this area. Some are larger than the others. Look at this large one right here. Look at this one right over here. Oh, this is just quite amazing, actually. So here's one that's filled with debris and sand. One right next to it also filled. Look at this over here. Here's a mortar right here. This is a mortar right here. So while they were producing their salt here, they could also grind their acorn. There's a lot of acorn and pine nuts in this area, which was a food staple. I'll tell you, look at that. Look at those woods. Well, I'm noticing that a lot of these basins are filled with debris, and look right over here in front of us. Here's another mortar right here. And so when the natives were up here processing the salt, they also lived here in this area. That's why we're going to find probably many mortars here. This was probably a campsite during the summer season. I can't imagine them being up here during the winter, but possibly. So look at that right there directly in front of us. There's one that's still filled with water. Well, actually, there's several. There's several. Look at that, my goodness. This is hard to believe. Now, these basins here were produced by the natives. These basins weren't here naturally. And one of the ways these were produced, at least to my understanding, is they would light a fire, a large fire, over the granite right here, thus creating the rock, the stone, to be a little brittle, and then they would chop through it with a harder stone and create these large basins. So it was a combination of heat and then pounding with a harder stone to create these basins. The heat weakened the stone, and so it was able to crack a lot easier and pound a lot easier than it would be in its natural state. This is very interesting here. We're at the lower end of this salt basin works, and look at this. You could see where they're filled with debris and grass is growing out, and so they're very distinct. All those places where the grass circles are located are salt basins.